All steps
Let's go.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Insanity of the Week. It is the UnFuckIt Discussion. We're going to get into a lot of different topics tonight, but yeah, it is February 5th. Winter seems to have hit everywhere suddenly. All those who didn't have winter before have now all of a sudden apparently getting winter. We have winter right now. I has my nice blanket on just to try and keep warm. And Clive's over there with his hat on going, oh, I'm fucking cold. Epic insanity again, because, that's normal now. All we do is daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly insanity because it's craziness. First off, before we go, I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about tonight. We got a whole bunch of different topics. So I can see already just from the pre-show conversation, we're going to be like going all over the fucking place. I want us to open up the story tonight. We're going to talk about, oh my God, the dreaded coronavirus. Oh my God, the dreaded coronavirus. It's coming to get us all. Okay, so here's the thing. I want to talk about this, but I want to talk about this realistically. I want to talk about this objectively. I want to talk about this without going down the conspiracy theorist rabbit holes, without the playing the who is it, what is it, where is it, when is it, why is it, who started it, because the reality of it is we are inundated. I've just seen complete and utter insanity. My YouTube feed is full of videos on coronavirus. My recommended for you listings everywhere. It's coronavirus. I am sick of fucking all of these pieces inundating us. It's like a tsunami. We're drowning in it. And I'm watching people extremely overact. I'm watching people, I shouldn't say overact, overreacting. When you are being pelted by this shit left, right, and center, everywhere you go, it's very, very hard to step back and say, okay, how about we just kind of, be the observer, and let's just talk about this from a really basic point. So here's the thing. Regardless of whether it's natural or lab created, regardless of whether it is or isn't happening, regardless of whether China is lying or is not lying, regardless of all these different pieces that you're hearing. Bill Gates and his, he put out 3 months ago, they did ran a scenario. It said 65 million people could die of this virus, etc. Regardless, it's a virus. It's a virus. It's a cold virus. Now, let's look at some of the basic facts. Coronavirus has been around for decades. And again, I don't care who made it. I don't care if it's natural or not natural. Coronavirus, the basic keyhole grouping of viruses that are called coronaviruses, have been around for ages. The number one thing that we know is the best way to keep yourself healthy is to make sure your immune system is strong, to do things that are proactive to support your immune system, and of course, knowing what to do, how to treat symptoms, how to work yourself through it. Everyone needs to back away from all the drama, all the he says, she says, they say. We need to back away and look at this and say, it's a flu virus. Now, even if it's lab created, let's say this is the one. This is the big one. They finally managed to pull their heads out of their asses and create the magical bioweapon that we all know they've been trying to create for fucking decades. Even if this is it, all this shit that everyone's doing is unhelpful. Getting yourself worked up into a tizzy over it, debating it with people, running around in circles with this, it doesn't help. Whether it is or it isn't, it doesn't matter. Whether, like I said, who created it doesn't really matter. Back away. How do we treat it? How do we treat it? We know how to treat it. We know there's all kinds of things that you can do. We discuss them on the show all the time, and we're going to run through some of those. There's all kinds of natural ways of being able to treat it. Now, as with any virus, people who have a compromised immune system, who have extensive health issues already, those are the ones who are going to be the most affected. The average person, if you've been eating a relatively decent diet, if you've been kind of getting your well-needed vitamins that you should be getting from your food, if you're getting out in the sunshine at least a couple of times a week to get even a little bit of sun for some vitamin D, the average person can be just fine in dealing with any kind of these viruses. So we want to talk about some of the real basics. We touched on some of these last week. What are the two things that we know? And this is proven scientifically. Two of the things that we know are the biggest basis point to keeping yourself from getting sick. Wash your hands with soap all the time. And if you cough or sneeze, into the crook of your elbow, so it doesn't spray out all over everyone. These are common sense things that everyone seems to kind of forget about. If you're worried, for example, clean your surfaces of your house. Making an all-natural antiviral, antibacterial spray that you can just spray around your house is super, super easy. Get an empty spray bottle. Say it's 300 mils size. Put 150 mils of water, but 150 mils of white vinegar. Add about 100 drops of essential oil to the mixture. Essential oils like eucalyptus, oregano, tea tree, lavender, cinnamon, cloves, rosemary. Shake it up in the bottle, spray your surfaces down. If you've got kids coming and going from school or people coming and going from work, spray down the doorknobs. So when they're coming in and out of the house, it's not being tracked in. Send everyone to the bathroom. Go wash your hands. Okay? There are real basic things that we can do. You know? So I just mentioned some essential oils. And it's really, really interesting because there's a couple of really good studies that have been come out in the last few years talking about using those essential oils. Cinnamon, eucalyptus globulus, rosemary, clove, and oregano oil. All of those oils together. They're antibacterial, they're antiviral, and most of them are antifungal as well. They will kill any virus. So when you get these, for example, the fear porn saying, oh my God, the coronavirus can last for 3 weeks on surfaces. No, it can't. Sorry, no virus can. But, and people are freaking out, oh, but I just ordered something that's coming from China. Okay, so spray the box down. Okay, when you open it up, spray it down with something. If you really, really, really feel that you're that terrified, spray stuff down. It isn't difficult. It doesn't have to be difficult. There are so many things that we can do to support our immune health. We talk about using homeopathics. We talk about cell salts. We talk about essential oils. We talk about the things that you have in your kitchen. Honey, cinnamon, lemons. All of these things are a basis for making great drinks. Making yourself tea. If you don't have oregano oil, I always joke about it and say, almost everyone has got oregano in their kitchen cabinet that they use for making spaghetti, making their dinners. Dried oregano is dirt cheap. Go get a big bag of it, and if you get sick, boil the kettle, get a teacup out, big heaping tablespoon of dried oregano, put the boiling water on top, stir, let it sit for 10 minutes, strain it off, add some honey because wow, it's going to taste nasty, and chuck that shit back. You have a stomach problem, you have sinus problems, respiratory problems, any of those things, knocks it out. Seriously knocks it out. Tastes nasty, but it fucking works. Here in the chat, I love it. Several people have just said, staying out of fear is so important. When people are, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, well, guess what? It's almost like you're setting yourself up to get sick. Last weekend, Callahan talked about the gelsemium, Anne, right? That you're going to say it better than I will. The fact of how gelsemium works.
Yeah, it's chicken and egg. When we choose homeopathic remedies, we take not only the physical symptoms, we also take the mental, emotional symptoms into consideration. And one of the key symptoms for gelsemium is ailments from anticipation. So fear that something's going to happen is going to put you in an energetic state that leaves you susceptible to a flu virus.
Exactly, which is exactly what everyone's just talking about. If you're afraid of it, guess what? Proven homeopathically that can literally set the stage, set the tone for you to get there. So, if we talk about things like, having some homeopathics on hand, having gelsemium on hand.
Yeah. Gelsemium at the moment looks like one of the most effective homeopathic remedies for what's going around. And
So,
you can get that in pretty much any shop that stocks homeopathy.
yeah, it's easy. Gelsemium is Anne, can you do me a favor? Can you type it in? Because I'll spell it wrong, guaranteed. Anne's going to type it into the chat there. And I'll make sure when I put up the article to go along with the show, I'll make sure I type it into the article properly. Homeopathics are very, very easy to get, very, very inexpensive, right? This isn't like having to put out a huge amount of money to maintain your health, etc. Now you guys all know I swear by black seed oil. Sore throats, anything respiratory, the first thing I do, the absolute first thing I do is start chugging back on the black seed oil. If I'm really, really in a bad way, you can feel the cough going down into your chest or up into the sinuses. I'll take a tablespoon of black seed oil, put it in a shot glass, add a couple of drops of oil of oregano, mix that up with a tiny bit of juice and shoot that back. It's like instant relief. Instant relief. It works. So there are things that we can do, A, to prevent ourselves from getting sick, and B, to treat ourselves if we are sick. What's the number one thing that we should be doing? Rest. Rest. Get some rest, get some sleep. Make sure you have shit on hand that you can, dose yourself up with hot toddies if you have to, minus the brandy or the whiskey. Sometimes that also works. Hot lemon juice with tons of cinnamon, ginger, and good, proper raw honey. Goes a long, long way. No, last week we talked about the garlic, because of course everyone brings up garlic as when you talk about your immune system, etc. And the problem is, and I'll say this again, the vast majority of the garlic that we get nowadays in a grocery store is shit. It's shit. It's genetically modified, hybridized garlic that has come out of China. And like I said, even if it says it was grown in Mexico, grown in Spain, grown in Germany, means jack shit. The seed stock still came. If it's the big garlic and the heads are like that size and cloves are about the size of my thumb, it's all come from China. So it's when you start looking around, find someone who stocks, pardon me, organic garlic. Proper old-fashioned garlic, the little tiny cloves, the ones that are just like this big. And they're a pain in the ass to peel. I know they're a pain in the ass to peel, especially if you're making a recipe that calls for a lot of garlic. But get your real garlic, get fresh spring. I said you can actually get garlic sprouts. Sprouting garlic yourself is relatively simple. And you can do it on a windowsill. You don't even have to have a garden out back. You can do it on a windowsill in the winter and grow yourself fresh garlic sprouts. Right? Everyone's joking about the black seed oil. Yes, it tastes nasty, but it fucking works. So suck it up, pinch your nose, slug it back. Even my youngest son, as soon as he gets a sore throat now, as much as he hates black seed oil, he comes to me right away and says, "Mommy, I need some black seed oil. My throat is sore." Because he knows it works. He knows it works. So yeah, so you got to watch things. But one of the things that I've made for years for my kids, in a bain marie or a double boiler. If you don't have one, you can literally use a saucepan and put a bowl in the bottom, inside the saucepan. Water in the pot, couple of good quality cloves of garlic, a good quality organic onion, couple of cloves, couple of sticks of cinnamon, and some raw honey, and just simmer it. Don't let the water boil because you don't want to overheat the honey. Simmer it together for like 15 minutes. Strain everything else off. You can put that honey mixture in the fridge. It'll stay good for frickin' ages. And it's a spoonful of that. Is one of the best cough syrups for sore throats, for coughs. It works brilliantly. Yeah, Deb, a neti pot, right? If you have anywhere near you that has an area of town that sells stuff from India, you should, an Indian-based pharmacy, you should be able to buy a neti pot. You know what? It fucking works. You have a sinus infection, if you have a stuffed up head, even allergies, using a neti pot works like a hot damn. Okay, so.
Dee,
Yeah, darling.
just quickly, I sent you something on Facebook that I think you should go over. I can't get to the fucking website, but I've sent you it in Messenger, and it's about the belly button.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of research over the time, but
what's it called? The
Pachodi.
Pachodi, that's it. The Pachodi.
Yeah, or Pachodi. I'm not sure if it's.
Yep.
But like, that's something that everybody like should be updated with and or reminded about, because that's like it's a big thing.
Well, the biggest problem with that one is I really looked into it about a year ago. I came up with CBD, and there was several of the CBD groups were posting for applying CBD in the belly button because of the Pachodi. I don't know how to say the name of that organ gland, which is behind the belly button. And I really, really tried to do as much research on it as I could. And unfortunately, I found a lot of the articles ended up doing circles. They circled back to each other because it does make logical sense. Your belly button is where your umbilical cord was attached, i.e., that was the basis point that fed every part of your body. Logically, it makes sense. But at least in English searches, I found very, very little to back it up. Now, it would be interesting if someone could, for example, do the same searches in like Hindi, because I bet Ayurvedic medicine would probably be way more onto that. But the problem is we know Google's broken. So like when you try to go and search for things, it's virtually impossible to get the information that you want.
You know what? I read that and I was feeling down about it because I've had probably 3 or 4 endoscopies that go through my navel. And I thought, well, shit, my shit's all ruined.
Not necessarily. You don't know that.
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting. That's where they go in at.
Well, it's called they can go in and not leave a scar for all the ladies who like to wear bikinis. And yes, thank you. That's the other thing I want to bring up. Okay, is about a fever. Anne just said also, don't be afraid of having a fever. The fever cooks the virus.
Never be afraid. Never.
No, fevers are so important.
Yeah, cancer patients don't get fevers. I tell y'all that all the time. Fevers are the best thing that you could ever have. Yeah.
Yep. And with my kids, for example, I had it a few months ago, and one of the boys was sick. And I kept waiting for the fever to come. And the fever wasn't really coming up. I could feel it around the edges, but it wasn't really coming up. So I literally bundled him up. He was saying, I'm cold. I'm like, okay, great, you're cold. Lots and lots of blankets. Put lots and lots of blankets on him, bundled him up. And within an hour or two, he finally had a fever. And the fever breaks, and you start doing the sweat. And that is one of the most important things. It's one of the things that in Western medicine, we've completely lost track of what a fever actually does. We've completely lost track. And not only that, it amazes me how many parents are literally go into a panic the moment their child has a 1-degree fever. Panic. Like it's the end of the world. Oh my God. And immediately, what does doctors tell them to do? Oh, give them Tylenol. Give them paracetamol. Give them ibuprofen. Which, guess what? it is number one, is dangerous. We found that out with aspirin, which was what doctors gave everyone for the fever. It's dangerous, but not only that, it cripples your immune response. Your body is making a fever to combat the virus or the bacteria. And yes, Penny, you're absolutely right. There's such a thing as a too dangerously high a fever. If you get someone who gets a fever, starts getting fever 103, 104, this is a dangerous point now. But it is actually quite rare for people to get fevers that high for something like a cold or the flu.
You know, Danny, my mother used to throw me in the tub with some ice, some cold water when I got it that high.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you just do what you got to do, right?
Well, ice baths are actually really dangerous because they can put the body into shock. But for example, one of the big ones is vinegar. Soak a face cloth in vinegar and lay it on the person's chest or on their back, and that apparently seriously brings the fever right back down again.
Never heard of that.
Yep. And I don't know, and any of you guys had the whole mustard plasters when you were kids? If you got a really bad chest cold, and that's a real British one, and it's another one that really works. Mustard plasters on the chest, the big swaths of disgustingness with the cloths on them. It breaks up the congestion in the chest. Yes, tepid bath. Anne was just saying, a tepid bath is very, and sponging down with tepid water. Ice water is actually, like I said, it's very dangerous. There's such a thing as dropping the body's temperature too fast, and it can cause a state of shock.
They also say if you get a really high fever, if it's going like 104, you can also rubbing alcohol.
On the feet. On the feet.
Mm-hmm.
On the soles of the feet. Rubbing alcohol on the soles of the feet is supposed to also bring down a fever.
You remember when I told you the story of that doctor that he swore that the flu could kill cancer, and he told you he brought in a terminal patient, had no hope, and infected her with the flu, and she hit some pretty high temps. I think the whole thing took about 3 days, and when she came out of it, she was cancer-free.
That's amazing shit.
About that.
Yeah.
That is some shit.
This is the thing. Everything has been hidden by modern medicine. And when modern medicine is completely controlled by the pharmaceutical companies, well, of course it's hidden. They don't want you to know that you can use, a 1 cent gelsemium homeopathic. They don't want you to know about all the natural ways to be able to treat these things. They want you to buy their products. It's just common sense. And this is the thing.
Came out.
Go ahead, Nevada.
They just came out with a way, or testing a way, to use vibrations. And I'm trying to remember what they called it. It was like the God vibration or the magic vibration. And it's using a high one and a low one, and a resonance to where they vibrate at the same frequency at the cell level, to where they basically disintegrate the cell.
Yep, for cancer.
And so they can kill all the cancer cells using vibrations.
That's like Raymond
Yeah,
Roche
I
sort of
listened to
stuff.
that as well. It's the solfeggio frequency. It's like the solfeggio frequencies with its 11th harmonic or something. That's what
Right.
And cancer is like this really high vibrating frequency or something, and they have to harmonize it with its 11th harmonic.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
the
They were
problem with that,
relating.
well,
They were-
what else? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, Maddie, you're already talking, so you go ahead.
They were relating it to like the frequency of like breaking glass, and like using that as an example. Like you use the same tone, the frequency of the glass, of the mineral, of the base.
Yep.
And if you can hit that, it ends up shattering it. So essentially, if you can hit the base frequency of the cell, the same thing happens.
See, I believe we had that technology through the original Rife technology, but they've screwed with that so much that, it's just not. I even had a Rife machine, as y'all know,
Yep.
I ended up selling it to a patient who I'm going to say has benefited greatly from it. It changed her whole life. So I'm not going to completely down it, but I don't think that everything's right like it used to be.
Well, here's the thing, though. One of the things we talk about all the time is, unfortunately, and I'm just talking from my own gut here. This is just my personal opinion, no research behind this at all. When we talk about frequencies, and we talk about, for example, things like certain types of frequencies, and we see people say, okay, well, cancer resonates at this frequency, or the different parts of the body resonate at these frequencies. But we also know that our frequencies are shifting right now. So when our frequencies, when the planet's frequencies, our personal frequencies are shifting, then we can be trying to go from data that's now no longer correct. And when we talk about frequencies, being off by 1 or 2 hertz can be major, right? Like, it can make all the difference in the world. So it's not, as with everything, it's not good enough to just do what you're told. It's not good enough for us to listen to what other people have said and just do what that person says, whether it's dealing with frequencies, etc. Because we're all very individual, and we each have our own frequency and our own resonance. And what works for one person is not necessarily going to work for someone else. Now, my husband, Nick, we had someone brought a Rife machine. We had a Senar machine. We had someone else came by with another machine. It was out of France. All of these use frequency, et cetera, et cetera. And if anyone comes near them with Nick, he gets violently sick. Like, violently sick. And it doesn't matter which it is or what frequency, it does not matter. He cannot, our chiropractor does acupuncture. And Nick had a frozen shoulder, and so the guy, our chiropractor, said, okay, well, look, I'm going to do this acupuncture on you. And Nick was a little like, okay. And Nick was fine, and he put all the needles in, and it was all fine until he went and hooked them up to an electrical machine. And instantly, Nick went gray and started sweating and was just like, take it off, take it off, take it off, take it off, take it off. And it doesn't matter what it is. So these machines will work very well with one person, but are not necessarily going to work the same way for someone else, because we're all individual and we're all very different.
That's a really good point. Like that research they put out with the frequency range of what the cancer was at, I was kind of appalled to note that it wasn't just one number. It was like a range. It was like 100,000 hertz to 200,000 hertz. It's like, wow, that's a really big range. And in order to really like get the cells, they have to be on that one that it happens to be with.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean it doesn't work. Like I said, I know people who've done some incredible stuff with like Senar and with Rife machines, and really, really done some incredible stuff. But it doesn't work for everyone. And it's the same thing. Not the same essential oil is going to work for everyone. Not the same homeopathic is going to work for everyone. We are all individual, and we have to take responsibility for our own health. Unfortunately, Western medicine would like us to believe that it's, oh, here's a pill, take that, everything's all fine now. You're all better, magically, right? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
Not to
we
mention
have to find what works for us. So sorry, say that again, Zero?
And not to mention that intuitive leap that our planet is changing.
They said that the magnetic vortex or the magnetic field is fluctuating right now.
Oh yeah.
So that could be causing a lot of things with just us and the birds and everything. And then also each individual has our own chemical makeup and what we're intaking, like our food. So that offsets the balance of our chemical intake. And then I seen that they were saying that they should look at how medicine treats versus male versus female, because some medicines work better, like Motrin, for females than it does for males. So they've been that's been forgotten about in medicine for some reason.
Well, because they keep trying
Just
to
remember to breathe.
breathe. Exactly. Exactly, but just breathe. Just
Well,
breathe.
you're talking about everyone being individuals, and everyone has their own breath.
Yep.
And if you go through things like Wim Hof, pranic breathing, and these sorts of things in the ancient Vedic stuff, you know, we've discussed what spirituality means, the art of breathing. And people like Wim Hof or Iceman have proven that these viruses can be breathed away within hours. And then people can be taught to breathe these things out too. So everyone has their own individual switch.
Yep.
That
Now, isn't
regardless
that
of the
chi, essentially?
frequency, it's you tune. Say that again, sorry.
Isn't that just essentially like chi? Like you're building up your inner energy, your inner chi?
Sort of. It's the same. Well, it's exactly that, but it's the type of breathing in which in the way it interplays biologically. So, you know, you've got your adrenals, which science for a long time and basically up until Wim Hof were like they're your fight or flights, and he's shown that we can turn them on.
So instincts, base instincts, basically. You can shut them off.
No,
Well,
'cause the
you're in
adrenals go
control.
above and beyond that. That's what I think what Ben's talking about is the fact of these things are not understood. They don't understand, so they assign it one single name. Oh, it's fight or flight.
Yeah, well, that's what they assumed that it was attached to, right? Because it kicked in when certain things happened.
Yeah.
But with what Wim Hof's sort of been able to prove, and the reason I mean, pranic breathing in the Vedic culture has been around for who knows how long, and that was, you know, like we say, it's like the etymology of spirituality is the art of breathing. See, and everyone's got it attached to a connotation of spirit, which is this thing that resides in you, and, you know, could be this or could be that or could be the other thing. So when you yourself can control you yourself and are aware of those sorts of things, it becomes quite an interesting realm to fuck around in. Because
I think there's
those
a guy
different
that
parts of
he does it to climb Mount Everest, like to help intake more oxygen into his lungs, so therefore he doesn't have to breathe as much.
Who's this?
That's Wim Hof, bro.
Is that Wim Hof? Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's like
Hikes to the top of Mount Everest in shorts and shoes, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
But like in China, there's apparently a hospital in China that does everything through chanting.
Yeah.
Well, what's chanting? Chanting is frequency. And literally they surround the patient with like 10, 15 people, and they do this chanting. And I mean, some of them, I've seen some of the videos where they're using ultrasound at the same time, and you can see tumors literally shrinking as they're chanting, getting smaller and smaller.
What is chanting?
I said it's breathing,
channeling energy.
It's frequency, it's chi energy, it's all of the above.
Didn't they say?
But you know what I'm getting at? Like, it is breath with sound.
Yep.
What they did is they decided on a certain sound, and they all agreed that it was going to do a certain thing, and they were all in agreement with it to match that tone, I guess.
And they told her, you see yourself getting better. You see yourself without the tumor. Now you're better. Now you do not have
better. Now you are better.
Yeah.
I saw that too. That just gives me, that's the kind of shit I love. I love that.
I saw this, and my mom woke up one day recently around the time that I saw this. She tells me that she can't feel her legs. She woke up one day, and from her waist down, she can't move. And so she ends up going to the hospital. She's in intake. She's there for a day. And I see this, and I know about pressure points, how your feet are essentially all the way nerves through your body, and they, connect through everything, and you can take away headaches. You can put a person in a certain mood by giving them a massage with their feet, yada, yada, yada. So I told her, you're better. You see yourself walking again. You're going to walk again. And I started doing certain just pressure points I felt that would work. 2 days later, she started walking again.
Yep. I have no idea what I do.
Why.
I do pressure point on the skull, on the head, and I can get rid of migraines on people really, really fast. I knock them out afterwards.
Yeah.
They're completely knocked out afterwards. They have to go lie down for about 3 hours. But it's the same thing, and it's just but it's also, for me, when I do it with my eyes closed. I don't want to see what I'm doing, so that my hands just do what they're going to do. They just go where they're going to go, and they're going to apply the pressure that is needed.
Exactly.
I don't think about it. I'll sing a song in my head, and just let myself go and let it go. But it's the intent too. It's always the overall intent is, okay, we just move that away. It's all gone. Just move it, and it's gone.
A key component. The key component there is that his mom was in agreement. That is such a big part of that.
Oh yes, yes.
Oh, she wanted to walk. She needs to walk. She's a caregiver. She takes care of elderly people. So.
Yeah, that's big, because I run into that in my business with patients, because I kind of make them, tell me the red flags that they in retrospect didn't pay attention to. Because I think that's very important going forward if you're going to walk this path, Yeah. And, I just.
You can't heal. No, but you can't heal someone who doesn't want to be healed too. And I have an issue when people will arbitrarily do, distance healing on someone without A, asking their permission. And B, the fact of does that person want to be healed? Or is that person going through something because they need to go through it themselves to figure shit out, right? These are important factors to it, because, and I've done this, I had a really good friend, and it didn't matter. She did not want to be healed. And it didn't matter what it was, she didn't want to be healed. Because being sick was her thing. It was her pity. It was her victimhood, if you will. And I tried to talk to her. This was, 10, 15 years ago. She was never able to move past that. So therefore, a lot of the things, and she would go to all these healers, but she was not willing to be healed, because the reality of it was she didn't want to be healed.
And listen to this shit. So I have patients that are younger at times, where their parents are more concerned with, these could be stage 3, even stage 4. And they're more concerned with, will the medicine enable them to work?
Yeah.
I don't even, when that shit hits me, I just sit there for a second, because I don't even
and that's
know
their programming, and
that.
that's the programming, right? This is one of the things that Anne's talked about this so many times on different shows. We as a society do not give ourselves time to heal ever. And it's not only that, it's become this really subtle piece of programming to go to work when you're absolutely sick as a dog and then brag about it. You know what I mean? Be like, oh yeah, well, I dragged my ass to work even though I had pneumonia. Wait a second. That's not something to be proud of. Holy shit. As a society, it's from the corporate side of it, it's not permissible for you to be sick. And God knows how many of us have had bosses who have literally come down on their heads if you're sick. Literally.
I once applied to a job, and the guy was like, I haven't taken a sick day in 3 years. And I noped the fuck out of there.
Yep. And that's part of the programming, right? That is a piece of programming. You don't look after yourself. You don't allow yourself time to heal. And you never ever look at what the causes are. And that is all Western medicine programming. And it is one of the most vital pieces, is that we have to allow ourselves the time to get better. To go to bed and fucking stay in bed for 3 fucking days, 5 days if it takes that long. Just stay there.
Danny, another thing is we are so, oh my God, all over the world, people are becoming illiterate. And what I mean by that, you can read all you want, but you're so illiterate in life. You don't know anything about the technology you're using, period. You just use it, and you don't know a damn thing about your body and why it is reacting like it's reacting. Get to know yourself. Why is your body reacting like that? Sore throats, histamines, guys. It's your histamines that are attacking something. Figure that out. Sometimes if you can get a control on the histamines, it can literally stop that domino effect within your body. So, I mean, just get to know your bodies, guys.
Yeah, and we're individuals. This is the important thing, is we are individuals, and what works for one person may not work for the other person. Over in Twitch, Crystal Bowl said, I agree with that. I work in a hospital, and people going through chemo, and they keep going downhill, and most of them don't make it. Yeah, they go through chemo, they're going through all this shit, and they're still going to work. Or they're still doing everything that they normally do. Meanwhile, their body is being literally accosted by these chemicals, but they're expected to just keep on going. And it's not healthy. And you people wonder why people... I literally had a friend who was a nurse.
There's this saying, in hell, slaves walk with invisible chains. You know, like this entire, like Paul said, this entire programming.
This is such a sensitive subject to me. Like when y'all talking about it, I feel it inside of me because I've been dealing with this for 6 years. And this, because the heavy weight of having to talk to sick people, it's heavy at times, and it breaks my heart what I see and how there's no compassion for, like in their minds, they are so programmed that they have to be this person no matter what. When you get like that, you gotta it's like, okay, hold up, we gotta redefine this game.
Yeah, but Don, you're absolutely right. But society is telling us we are disposable, right? I know. But society is literally teaching us, if you don't go there, even if you're sick and you do your job, I'm going to fire you and hire someone else. See, this is the entire shit system that literally exploits everyone and doesn't even give a shit if you're sick or if your children are sick and you can't go to work.
I say that if you die, they're just going to replace you. They don't care.
Yep. Ihor just said in the chat, slavery disguised as virtue. Exactly. Slavery disguised as virtue. It's something, oh, look at me. I went to work every day, even though I was so sick. And the whole thing of it is, this is something hold on, Bossy. Something I want to say about this. When we're talking about flus and colds and viruses, etc. Yes, Heather, exactly. You have to take responsibility for yourself, but you also have to take responsibility for your actions. You go to work, you go to school. When you're sick, you get other people sick. That is so selfish, so irresponsible. This is one of the major pieces that people need to kind of come back to as well. Like, beyond taking responsibility for ourselves, i.e. I'm sick, therefore I'm going to have to look after myself and get myself healthy again, it's I'm not going to infect everyone else around me, because you don't know who they know. You don't know that the guy sitting in the cubicle next to you has got you know, a newborn baby who was born at, you know, 27 weeks premature, and, you know, you pass the virus to him, and he goes to see his baby, and guess what? Responsibility. But again, this is part of that societal programming. Don't take responsibility for yourself. They will tell you what to be responsible for and what to do. Do as your doctor tells you, do as your boss tells you, do as your government tells you, but don't take responsibility for your own actions. And we see that in the programming. We see that vastly in all the programming.
You know what happened is when things change from personnel to human resources is when they quit giving a shit.
Yep.
They started
Human
treating everybody
resources.
like a resource. And
Yep.
so therefore people started treating themselves like a resource.
Yep. I agree.
Well, on top of that too,
And they
I
say,
think
"Oh,
something
yeah."
that should be
Hold on, Zero. Hold on.
Take
Go ahead, Ben.
into consideration, just listening to you then, is not just like the, I guess, trying to be stoic and go to work, but that getting better also now has a cost associated with it.
Yeah.
As opposed to just having your home remedies and your herbs and that sort of thing. Getting better has a cost because you've got to go to see a professional to get a diagnosis so that then you can know what to do about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is something else that's got to be put in the context there too, I think.
Absolutely.
Before you go ahead, Zero, before you guys go ahead, sorry to interrupt, before you go ahead, with the whole idea with the slavery system, you know, they literally perverted it. Back then, a slave was for the owner a commodity, right? The slave owner had to pay for a roof over the head, for a bed, for clothing, for medicine, for food, and for everything, right? And these days, they convinced us we are free, but in reality, we are slaves. We are working for our own roof of our head, for all of this. And then on top of that, government comes like, oh my God, you have a nice paycheck. I'm going to get half of it and I'm going to tax you on everything you buy, right? Like, how have we been so fucking stupid to let us convince that we are free? In reality, we aren't. Like, I mean, people tell you, you're free, you can go where you want. Have you ever tried that without money?
Yeah. Okay, well, you know what, Bossy? You've just led me into one of the next topics I want to cover, and we can get back to this if you want, but I want to get into this for sure today. I was at a financial institution yesterday, and while you're standing there waiting in line, as you do always, there was a lovely gentleman in line ahead of me. And you can't help it. You're listening to conversations, because what else are you going to listen to? And I'm listening to him talk to the teller. And the teller's setting up some kind of a money exchange situation with bank accounts because the guy's British and he's living in Malta, and so he's got it's his pension and he's dealing with this. And I listened to some of the questions this guy asked him. And one of the questions Nick let me set up the visual for this, okay? Nick is standing next to me. And he's literally doing like going, shh, just shh, shh, shh. Because he just watched me and my eyes are getting bigger and bigger. And the guy's asking questions that he has no need of this information. No need of the information. The man's transferring money from a British bank account to that account. No one is going to transfer money that they don't own. Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, he's given all the banking information. The guy starts... And one of the questions he asked, do you have a political party affiliation? And my head blew. Like, it was like all of a sudden, literally the top of my head blew off, steam came out. I was just like, in this very loud voice, went, that is an illegal question to ask him. And Nick's just like, shh, just, I know. I'm like, it's illegal. It's illegal. It's illegal by EU laws. It's illegal by fucking United Nations Human Rights Charter. It is illegal to ask anyone in a financial institution for them to ask, does he have a political party affiliation? holy fuck. We walked out, walking out, and I'm just, you guys can imagine what I get like. And some of you who know me, like Ann and Gail, and Jenny, Ben. No, I was like walking down the street, fucking ranting. I mean, serious, full on ranting, going, how are these corporations getting away with it? And I said to Nick, the first time we got to Malta in 2013, I went into the bank with my girlfriend. She was going into the bank to go pay a bill or something. And that's exactly it. It was paying a bill. She walks into the bank. Now she's got her bank card. She's shown her bank card. They're like, okay, we need your ID card. And she pulls it out. And I'm like, they don't need your ID card. You've just pulled out your bank card. You've already entered your PIN number, your security number with your PIN onto the machine. And you've already signed the slip. Why are they asking for your ID card? She was like, oh, well, you have to. Everything. You got to show your ID card. And I'm like, wait. And the same thing. The teller asked her for something else. And I was just like, that's fucking illegal. They're asking for private information from you that is illegal. They have no right to ask you that. And she was like, shh, Danny. Everyone's always telling me to shut up. It's one of those things. I can't help what I say in public. I have watched this, not so subtle anymore, but I've watched over the last 10 years especially, banks, financial institutions, tech companies, and of course we all know social media, literally stealing our information, demanding information that is illegal for them to ask for. It is illegal. There are laws. I had literally, when we moved here to Malta, we went in to set up a bank account with Bank of Valletta, who's pretty much the one and only bank you really can deal with here. Really. We had our residency cards. We gave all our banking information from our bank account in Canada that they asked for, and I was like, you don't need that. They were like, oh, no, we have to have that. And I'm like, okay. So I printed off, like, my bank statements type stuff, fucking blacked out all my amounts, etc. And they're like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, yes, I can. You have no need to know what money I have in my account in Canada. It's not your bank. It's not your bank account. It'll never be tied to this bank account. So you, as a private person, have no need of that information. They then said that they needed a form filled out. They would not open this account unless we had a form filled out by our bank manager. So it was sent off, mailed it off to the bank manager. Months later, I finally call my bank manager and say, what's going on? And they're like, first of all, we never received the form. I said, okay, well, and I emailed it to her. And she looked at the form, and her reaction was, are you kidding? This is illegal. I can't provide them with this information. It's illegal. It is against Canadian federal law for me to provide anyone with this information about your bank account unless you're standing right next to me, notarizing and signing off and giving me permission to give them this information. So I went back to the bank manager in Malta and was just like, I'm sorry, but I just spoke to my bank manager in Canada and you're asking for illegal information. And I was like, oh, duh. Oh, well, guess you don't get an account. That's the response. This is insidious now. And in the last month and a half, I've had, for example, PayPal. I have an ongoing war with PayPal because they're demanding ID on an account that I've had for 10 years. ID I've already provided to them when I set up the account. ID I've already provided to them when they did a full audit on me back in 2016. And some of you will remember when I lost my access to my account for a full year. They're demanding, and every piece of information I've sent them, they're like, oh no, we won't accept that. We need this. I'm like, there is no this. There is no this. It's, right? These companies, regardless of international laws are now demanding private information from people. And the problem is several people in the chat have said, is no one questions it. They just go, oh, yes, boss, oh, yes, boss, I'll give you that, yes, boss. And they go along, and when you dare to ask why, where, what, how they think they can ask these questions, they look at you and they're just like, okay, well, fine, then we're just not going to help you.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
My suggestion is to anybody that's been is being asked for this information that, like you said, it is illegal for them to do. But if we get accustomed to it, it's going to become a norm.
Yeah,
so
it has
my
become a norm.
suggestion is to get into a corporate mindset and literally go, well, how much are you going to pay me for me to hand over that information to you? Because
unfortunately, it doesn't work, though. Yeah, I know. But
well,
when it comes to these...
everybody started now,
if everybody did,
has
yes.
illegally sold your information, guys, and they're still doing it. Google does the exact same thing. Now, they're making billions of dollars, guys.
Yep.
Billions, okay, on your information, your data. It is called data. So, start demanding your cut in this system.
Yeah. The problem is that if you need to use their services, they just say, no, you're going to do it our way. And it doesn't matter. They don't care. I'll give you another example. And I was telling all you guys for the last few months, I've been telling you guys about Revolut cards and how Revolut is the way to go. Oh my God, they're so fantastic. Well, guess what? Not anymore. Why? Revolut is now demanding private information from people. Nick got paid. We transferred because everyone in Malta, because Bank of Valletta is so fucking useless, everyone's using Revolut cards. Nick got paid. Part of his salary we paid through the Revolut card. Revolut wanted to know where the money came from. They froze all his accounts. And he said, it's my pay. So we did up a pay stub to show it's his pay. And he's got, his ID card shows that he's a resident and that he's an employee of our company. They then demanded a copy of the company bank statement to prove that the money had come out of the company account. Needless to say, I went like this and said, I don't fucking think so. That's illegal. You can't ask for that information by EU law. And they all went, well, then, we're just going to hold your account frozen. So what do? Now your accounts are frozen.
Well, they will care if everybody starts doing it.
I know. The problem is, JC, got to get everyone on board.
Yeah, but we've got to stop being a victim here, guys.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree, hon.
We're taking this victim mentality. Well, dude, that we can't get this or we can't. Well, then do without it and move forward. And if everybody starts demanding their rights, then guess what? Change will happen.
Yeah,
and
but it takes everyone
getting paid.
Yeah, it takes everyone standing up.
Hey,
okay, John, I love the idea of the commercial lien. I like that idea. Go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
Well, no. This is like a bit of a flashback. This is takes me back to working with Kitty. So when after the first time and she got nailed, and then I went over to do some work with her, what she said is after she got arrested the first time when they did was it something exchange? Credit exchange or something anyway,
the credit
whatever
exchange.
the first inception was. one of the main reasons, and the reason she was allowed to, once she got out, the reason she was allowed to set up the second thing that we were working on was because the number one question the guys in black suits had was, who are your customers? And that's why KYC, know your customer, exists, is because apparently what we were told was they didn't care who had money. They didn't care how much money people had. They wanted to know who it was going to. And that was it. Like that was the kicker. It wasn't the fact that we were able to put millions of digits into people's bank accounts. It was who, because her original system was you could sign up 4 times under different aliases, and that was what kicked it all off. And then to add to that, like when I was in the States, one of my bosses is from Dubai, and like apparently the entire system there, that's like you basically get your birth certificate, you get a bank account, and then you get a phone.
As a baby?
And your phone, as you grow up, because the phone is your ID. It has everything in it. So over there, it's like if you speed, your bank account's attached to your phone, your ID and driver's license are attached to your phone, and you don't get fined, it gets taken out of your bank.
Boom.
And that's apparently like Dubai's just like that. That's what it is. So you drive everywhere, all the tolls, they just come out of the bank and all that kind of stuff. So if you don't have a phone, you ain't got shit.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing that they talk about, the RFID chips and things like this. Is, I mean, that's the way it's going. I know in the States they've been talking about.
It's funny that you guys mentioned that. Hold on one second. Did you read that article that there was a German artist that took like those rolling carts the kids have, like to roll
the wagons with all the phones in them?
Yeah, exactly, to simulate a fucking traffic jam.
I thought that was, I mean, it sucked for all the people around him. I don't know if you guys heard the story. An artist in Germany got a little red kid's wagon and filled it with hundreds of cell phones, with all their Wi-Fi turned on, and then just started walking up and down roads, which then logged as a massive traffic jam was happening. And it literally stopped because people were like, oh, don't go that way. There's a massive traffic jam. Okay, we got to go other ways. And it was a guy with a wagon full of cell phones. I thought that was so funny. So funny. Not for the people who were stuck in the traffic jam, but it was humorous.
But isn't it interesting to go back to what Ben just said, that they try to force us to use like cell phones as the new passport, paying device, ID system, like our everything, right? Yeah.
And the whole thing is, is everyone knows all these cell phones, all these devices have been hacked. They all have backdoors in them. Every single one. Doesn't matter if you're running an encrypted system. Does not matter. They've all been hacked through the back doors of them. So if you're using them, for example, like Ben was saying about in Dubai, and everything's connected, that means whoever is looking in through that back door knows everything about you. I mean, literally everything, from like what toll roads you went, at what time, on what days, what you ordered for dinner, everything.
See, the thing with that kind of a, I guess, aspect of societal play is regardless of whether it's a phone or a smart meter and all these sorts of things, it's like, if you're just to look at what they're doing with the LiDAR stuff, with mapping the Amazon and mapping topographically and under the sea and all that kind of stuff, like that sort of infrared shit reads it all. There's thousands and thousands of satellites up in space. it's kind of, and not to underwrite any of it, it's kind of like my climate change disclaimer. It's not to underwrite any of the importance. Essentially, it's where that stuff is coming from and who's in charge of it. Because in some ways, I literally like see a lot of it as an advantage to us. It's also an advantage to them. But some of the stuff, like I know it's being driven into a certain fashion. Ergo, you know, you've got your bank cards and you can pay on your phone and all that. But it's quite funny reading the newspapers here in Australia, because now it's like if you use your phone to pay at a takeaway, so like a McDonald's drive-through, that can be classified as using your phone while driving. So it's illegal and you can be fined for it.
Yeah, but
And
your
now
Australian
they're actually
government
at the
is now
point-
coming up with ridiculous fucking laws.
But see, it's revenue raising. Like we
Yeah.
keep looking at them as laws, yeah. But they're because that was what I was going to say. It's kind of like my whole thing. It's like, you know, my story about seatbelts. So they sit there and they go, "You must wear a seatbelt for safety. It is now law. You can be fined X amount if you don't." Why don't they just make it a law that cars will not start without a seatbelt on? That's safety. That is a safety law. The other is a revenue raiser.
Yep.
So all these things that they're implementing, like we go, oh, they're taking our freedoms away. It's like, no, they're like, look, they're trying to make money.
They're just making money off you. As much hand over fist, as much as they can grab. Exactly. No, exactly. But yeah, look, this is one of those things people need to become aware of, what their personal information is and what can and cannot be asked of you. And every country does have different laws. Canada has different ones from the States, and the same with England, with Malta, Australia, wherever. But people need to start questioning these companies and saying, I'm sorry, you're going to have to show me where you have the right to ask me for this information. And then making a choice of whether or not you're going to deal with this company anymore. Like I said, I'm kind of fucking backed into a corner right now till I fucking get to England, and then PayPal's gone. Once I get to England, I have way more options open to me. I will never deal with PayPal again. Ever. Because they are criminal. Criminal. It's not even a question. They're doing shit that is so blatantly illegal, but they've gotten big enough that they never, ever get called on it. And if they do, it just never goes anywhere. And this is the problem we're running into, is we have Microsoft, Windows 10. Why is it that no one wants Windows 10? Because Microsoft has told you they are spying on you through your device. 100%. And you can't turn it off. You can't turn off any of the data that they're collecting. And basically, a friend of mine was told by Microsoft, then don't buy our products. That's what they said. So you've got a choice. You don't buy that computer that has Windows 10 pre-installed because it's going to spy on you. Microsoft has done it on purpose, and they're not going to let you turn it off.
Danny, it's just not Microsoft. Or
No. I'm using them only as an example. I'm just using Microsoft as one massive corporation example that has no accountability. They're never held accountable.
There are only two processors that are widely used in about 98% of all computers. And through that processor, guess what? Every computer has a backdoor.
Yep.
No matter if you're running a Linux system on that computer or not, as long as it's using that processor, it has a backdoor. And another thing, if you are using Facebook, no matter what device you have, no matter what, if you are using Facebook on that device has a backdoor now.
Yep. But again, it's not the software; it's the actual hardware.
Hold on, one second about CPUs and processors. With the new ones, Penny, it gets even worse. My computer these days doesn't have a BIOS; it has its own literal computer that has to start before the CPU starts. And believe it or not, this entire CPU has a fucking mail server, a mail fucking server on it integrated that you can never touch and shit like that.
Yep.
But here's a question. One, I'm pretty sure through all our research, we've also devised that essentially all the internet is run through CERN, which is a massive computer processor, right? So regardless of Google and all the rest of it, it all routes one way.
Yep.
Number two, what have they got us so paranoid about ourselves? Now, once again, disclaimer, I'm not saying what they're doing is right.
No,
I'm not saying that them sourcing this, but what have they got us so paranoid about ourselves and our own life that we're even fucking worried about them?
I don't think it's about that, Ben. It's more about others dominating over the people, okay? It is literally the secrecy, the outright lies. That is what the majority of the problem is. It's not that we're connecting together. That is an awesome thing, guys.
Yes.
It really is.
But yes and no.
Let me say something, though. You know what I think? The fact that they make you choose instead of us choosing ourselves.
Well,
yeah.
The secretive background of it is that you don't give it a choice.
They are controlling. We're not given a choice.
Exactly what you just said.
That's also, well,
let's get honest. Exactly what you said. We were born into this. Remember, we talked about a while back. We were born into this, so it's been forced upon us.
It's not that easy,
we're born
guys.
into this, but we still have that's what I'm getting at, though. What, like, for me, I get up to some weird shit in conversation and email and fucking like whatever, you know. I watch a lot of weird shit. I research a lot of weird shit. I zap a lot of weird shit. I've got internet all over my property. I fucking walk around with AirPods, iPhones, fucking iPads, like the whole works. And I started wondering, what am I so paranoid about? Like some things I do, for instance, may not be legally recognized yet.
Yeah.
So there's things, but what is it that I'm so paranoid of? Okay, they could catch me for certain things. They could, you know, bring up how much porn I watch or any of these different things. They might be recording my O-face for all I know, you know, or anything along these sorts of lines. But what am I so paranoid about?
Well, listen,
hold on, Penny, just hold on. Because Ben, I agree with you. And my view for many, many years was, fuck it. Okay. For example, I'm not doing anything illegal, right? My problem comes when demand for me in my personal situation, and well, for Nick and I both. So Nick's Revolut card, my PayPal account, is when they demand information that you can't provide. Their demands are above and beyond ridiculous. So like that's my thing. Like I'm fucking furious that I'm being held hostage because I can't supply a piece of information that they're demanding because they've created a cookie cutter box and you must fit into this cookie cutter box. Well, I don't fit into this cookie cutter box. So therefore I don't have this, and this that you're demanding. And this comes up a lot. Where people, you know, they talk about things, they make demands of things, and it's like, it's not even about yes, it's illegal, and that pisses me off, of course. It's that they would make a demand that you cannot supply, that you can't acquiesce to their agenda because you just don't have it. and then they lock you down.
And that's also from what I've see. I don't deal with PayPal too much, but I know they're cunts, and Amazon pretty much the same, and fucking eBay pretty much the fucking same, and all of that sort of crap. But just remember, you can also set, and I know that this can take a lot of work and it can sound hard, but like you can set up your persons in certain ways to kind of help alleviate certain things as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, Ben. You and I are going to have a conversation about that for sure.
Well, you know, it's like I make sure that Telstra here, our telecommunications, they write to me as Ben of the Clan Gross. My address is Living in Body. I have a PO box that my IDs are attached to, and all the rest of that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like I've altered, not illegally, but backed them into a corner in which, like, you know, what my passport, without prejudice, UCC, Bennett, the Clan Gross, you know, to the point where the Australian driver's license and identification people wrote to me, stole my license with that signature, made me change everything, took my ID away, took my address away, the whole works. But as I've gone through this, like, last 10 years of trying to take on the courts and the councils and the banks and the popes and the I went, right, what am I being so paranoid about? What have I got to hide?
Yep, I hear you. No, I hear you.
And that like, it's not to say what they're doing is right, but in knowing what they're doing, you can clear your stuff up a bit.
Yeah, but Ben, you're saying something. You are paranoid. Okay, that you're saying you are paranoid. I'm not.
No, that's what he's saying. No,
paranoid about a damn thing.
No, Penny, that's what he's saying. He's not paranoid. That's what he's saying.
What
Why
they
are
are
people
doing
paranoid?
Is illegal. It is not right. And you want to talk slavery? Guess what? They are selling all of this. Okay, and they are getting rich and we are getting nothing. That's is true slavery.
Yeah, but Penny, I mean, this is it. Unfortunately, this comes back to what I was saying. This comes right back to what I opened the show with about the coronavirus. And I am not saying that we should all just be passive little fucking monkeys who go around and do, you know, answer yes sir, no sir, anything you say, sir. That's not what I'm saying. But regardless of the who, where, what, why, when, how, it's happening. So you can put all your stress on that, and you can slam your desk, and you can scream, and you can shout like I did walking down the street the other day. You can do that, or you can say, it's happening. I know it's happening. I don't consent to it, but I'm not going to literally let it rule my life because of what Ben was just saying. And I agree with Ben. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide, which is why I still have a Facebook account, right? Yeah. We can choose. We have to choose what battles we're going to go into. And for some people, that's the battle. And some people are like, it is worth every breath that I take to fight this battle. And I completely applaud those people. But there comes a point when we have to stop reacting about every single one of these things. And it doesn't mean accepting it. Like I said, it doesn't mean accepting it and turning into a little bot, yes or no, sir, anything you say, sir. But it is what it is at the moment. Now, if someone starts a class action lawsuit against fucking PayPal, I'll be fucking right in there putting my name down on that class action lawsuit. No questions asked.
And can I jump in on this?
Yeah, go ahead, Leonida.
Okay. First of all, with Windows spying, there's videos out there where you can go in and actually use your command line and actually turn off the stuff. Okay, I put a link in the chat comment. Number two is another way that they're controlling is with the actual monetary system, where they want everybody to go to crypto because they can track it easier. If you're using cash for your everyday transactions, they have a harder time building a profile on you.
Yep.
They say the profile is so that they can market to you better. Well, if they can market to you better, they can also predict what you're going to do. Third, the ability of technology to make things up out of thin air is real. With a RTX graphic card, you can make videos of people doing crazy stuff that did not happen. Okay? So in order to protect yourself, if they're going after the high profile people and they decide that they want to stick you because you're being a pain in their ass, well, yeah, they're going to make something up for out of mist. So yeah, you need to protect yourself. You need to turn off all this stuff. You need to not play their game and don't let them put you in some kind of fear crap because you're in control of you. Okay, and that's all I had to say.
Okay, Zero, what did you want to add?
Sorry.
Hold on,
That was
Ben, just
beautiful.
wait. Ben, just wait. Zero, what did you want to add?
So I totally agree that like all this is happening with like the computers and stuff, and there's not, and you know, I'm on the same vein as both of you, right? It's happening. What can you do? I have nothing to hide. The only thing that starts to get me angry is when they're making money off of my private data. Which my private data belongs to me, and if they're making money off of it, and not telling me, and being very, I mean, like, there have been reports that private data is the new greatest commodity, and that's where it starts to get a bit shady for me, is when they're making money off of my data that I haven't consented to them making money off of, or maybe I have in some user agreement, but I just wanted to add that aspect.
No, Zero, I agree. Like Ben said, like I said, it's not right. It's not fucking right. And like I said, we can make choices where we quit Facebook and you don't use Google and you only use PayPals that don't collect your information, and or accounts of social media, whatever. Yeah, we can make those choices.
Can I add some practical stuff that people can do to actually make a difference with this stuff? First of all, if you're seeking their services, you're screwed. You got to follow their rules. If they're coming to you, you have all the power. Secondly, Ben brought it up. Didn't even realize he brought it up. A number of people in the chat have brought it up. The ID, the identification cards, the names on the paper, they're not you. The name on the driver's license is not you. It is not your driver's license. It belongs to a legal fiction that you had nothing to do with. Mia thinks that you're liable for all its debts. Did you create the company? Do you own it? No. Just because your name is Reitman doesn't mean you're liable for Reitman's bills. You understand what I mean? Make the distinction between the flesh and the fiction. When they ask for ID, ask them why they want access to the fiction. Expose it immediately as soon as they bring it up. That takes all of their power away.
And John, I agree.
Most of the time it's going to eliminate you having any involvement with them.
Exactly.
They'll just say, I'm not dealing with you, I'm not dealing with you, which is a good thing if they're coming to you.
But the problem is if it's a service that you need, then you have no choice. You will have to play when you need their service, whether let's say it's a utility company or it is a bank account or a driver's license.
Then you deal with it as an agent of the fiction. You're not liable for it. You are only authorizing payment for it. That's it.
And John, like I said, on paper, I agree with you 100%. But in practicality, unfortunately, that very rarely works. So, for example, and this is I've been having this conversation since 2013, right? When you have this information, we have this information. I know all this stuff, inside out, upside down. I'm traveling with my family. I have to have a passport. Now, there are those who will say, oh, you don't have to have a passport. You can challenge it. You can do this. You can do that, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you can. And if I was a single person myself, I'd probably go that way. I'd probably be challenging them up the wazoo here, there, everywhere, and doing it my own way. But I have a responsibility as a parent. I have 4 children. So my responsibility as a parent is to ensure their safety. And their safety also means they're in safety from government fucking agencies that have no problem with stepping in and taking them away because they don't like the way you handle these things. There are hundreds of thousands, if not, millions of stories about parents who are in that situation. So we have to make a choice. We make choices. If we need their services, then we unfortunately get stuck in a place where we have to play the game according to their rules. And it's a choice we have to make. Well, are we willing to say, no, I do not accept your services? Or yes, I
Danny,
will. And if you do.
I agree with that. And yes, if you seek their services, you are required to play by their rules. Nobody knows their rules.
I know.
You don't know their rules. Ben doesn't know their rules. Clive doesn't know their rules. I know a few of them. They don't let you know the rules because their rules state they have to make the distinction. It is fraud not to distinguish between law and statute.
Yep. I agree 100%.
And the commercial lien
on all of your notes.
That up. Hang on a sec, Ben. The commercial lien aspect of this is incredibly powerful. Okay, be sure you are justified in doing it. But if you drop a lien on a company, that lien cannot be removed by anyone but you.
Yep.
A judge can't touch it. A magistrate can't touch it. No one can touch it. And it stays on the books until it's dealt with.
On some of those notes, John, it would seem in the Northern Hemisphere, in the Americas, in England, that stuff holds fast. Down here in Australia and New Zealand, that shit is a massive, massive, massive battle. Still kind of works, but D, on your notes, yes, sometimes you got to have these things. You know me, I was arrested probably 6 times a year all the time for no registration car, no license, just nothing. And then when me and my ex, the mother of my child, split up, I was in charge of my child.
Yep.
By myself. So I went and got a driver's license. I went and registered my car, my vehicle, all these sorts of things. And I now play the game where I don't talk on my phone. I've got hands-free. I don't speed. I try and take away all their power within the boundaries that I know are set so that they can't. And that's not to say that they play the game fair.
No,
no,
not even a little bit.
Over and all the rest of it. But, it's like I say, I have a red stamp that says Ben of the Clan Gross without prejudice, UCC 1-308, all rights and lefts reserved on my passport. People don't really flinch. Sometimes they just go, what's that?
Yep.
What I'm getting at, and I didn't mean any offense or anything by saying paranoid. What I'm talking about is there, like you said, Dee. If you're on Facebook,
yep, exactly.
If you're on Twitter, if you're on all these, you essentially, once again, you are still in the creator role.
Yep.
They've just learned a way to market off of you and to you. So it is a system. It is based on slavery. It is based on time is money, money is time, and those things. But you can find some fun in it. And it is shit. But like we say, like we started off with the coronavirus, with all these different things, swine flu, bird flu, you've still got the opportunity to play the game. Someone in the chat said you can't fight every battle. You don't need to. It's just yours. And if everyone fought their own battle, that incites change. That is change.
Yeah.
That's what I was sort of getting at. There is a way to play this in your own game that interacts.
I understand that, Ben, and I am 100% saying right on, because that is the way to do it. The thing is don't become complacent. Okay? Always know the game that is being played.
Yep. Absolutely, Penny. And like I said, it's not about complacency. It's not about bowing to the man, etc., etc. But there is a time and a place to choose your battles.
Oh, sorry, D.
No, it's okay.
And there is a guy out there. There's a guy out there at the moment called Gary Vee. I love him. He's quite inspirational. You know, he's got a media company, and he's out there talking about content. You know, it's funny when we watch, you know, the movie stars and the this, that, and the other, and we talk about the innuendos at the Super Bowls and the Grammys and the these and that and the other. It's like, not to say that Gary Vee's Illuminati or anything like that, but there's someone with a platform right now that's talking about how you are a brand. And the way that these people are making money on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, being promotional, this, that, they're all making money off of that machine that's harvesting our data to market back to us. Yep. And these people are working these things out. This is why Amazon has become so big, is that all they've really done is created a platform for sales internationally. And people are plugging in, and they get that big percentage because of the establishment that they've set up.
Yep.
And in doing so, Jeff Bezos has set up something essentially that didn't exist before. We had shipping, and you had to work all these things out, right? How do we send stuff? Now you can set up an Amazon store. And you can do it so that it doesn't look like an Amazon store at all. It looks like your store. You're just using Amazon shipping. So there are ways to utilize it and do these things that can work for you. But you are a brand. It's just like in the law of nations. You are a nation. You as an individual are a nation enacting and acting in or within other nations.
Yep. I agree, Ben. I agree, darling. I completely agree. But here's the thing. Getting back to what I was saying is you make your choices about what you're going to pay your attention into. And like this week, I've just literally went through social media twice this week. And just, first of all, it was all about the Super Bowl and satanic rituals in the Super Bowl, et cetera, and all these, like a huge amount of articles written about people going, oh, my 5-year-old with my 10-year-old, my 11-year-old was sitting there watching the halftime show, and they had stripper poles, and they were grabbing their crotch. And I'm like, nothing new here. Nothing new. It happens every fucking Super Bowl. So if you don't want your 11-year-old to see a woman climbing a stripper pole dressed in a G-string, why are you letting them watch the Super Bowl? If you think the Super Bowl is going to be full of satanic shit, why watch it? And why rant about it continuously? Like, it literally filled my entire fucking newsfeed. I was just like, all these people are distracted. Again, they've been, like, literally, it was like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days of just this massive poof. And that's all everyone talked about, because they fell into that fucking black pit of distraction again. Boom. And again, I'm not saying that it was all A-okay, and I'm not saying that children in cages on stage was not like, hello, seriously? Could you be more in your face? But we make the choices of what we're going to put our attention into. And if we're going to allow ourselves to get sucked into fucking Super Bowl or the Grammys, or sucked into what this person said to that person, or fucking what's her twit face tearing up Trump's speech, it's all a fucking, like, take it, go ahead, take note of it, etc. What was that?
Well, like, here we are complaining about the middle of the Super Bowl. Yeah, like that advertisement that sits in the middle. What the fuck is the whole professional sports syndicate about?
Exactly.
It's the Roman fucking Colosseum and the gladiators and everything.
Exactly.
This is why it's really funny. We complain about media. We complain about Hollywood. We complain about all these different things. Now, if you're going in and watching them without comprehending that, like NHL, professional, like, you know, all these different things, that's what they're made for. They are made to market to you. The sport itself, being professional, is a marketing brand.
Yep.
LA Lakers, the Redskins. Yep. That's what they are.
I majored in advertising, and the Super Bowl commercials are the #1 best money making ads in any shape or form. Like the Super Bowl ads, it's all centered around the money. Like
ridiculous. Oh, I know. And this is the thing. And like, I'm going to go back to this again, because this was some of the stuff that got said about the whole Super Bowl thing was just so asinine. And the whole bit, they were commenting about the sleazy outfit, the sex, too sexy outfits, they're far too sexy. I'm like, it's Shakira. She is the queen of the butt shake. Has been for how many fucking years now? And you expected something different? And then I love someone posted a picture of Cher. And was it 1989? And the outfit she wore to the Grammys to sing one of her songs that was black chiffon, completely sheer with nothing but 2 little pieces of fabric covering her nipples and going between her legs. And that was it. Same shit. This isn't new. It's not new. So why is everyone like losing the shit about it? Well, because it's a lovely distraction. Just sweep in there, pull everyone in, and get everyone angry. Oh yeah, let's get angry.
But it's the popular thing to be angry about.
But this is the thing. But people keep falling for it. Over and over again.
See, Danny, that is why I annoyed you earlier with the idea or the concept of spotting bait, right? Like this is bait literally dangling in front of you on a hook with a fucking worm around it.
Yeah,
right?
but hold on, see, there's something else going on too, okay?
Yes,
you're on a platform. Hold on. You're on a platform because most of this is on Facebook, okay? So let's call it. It's usually on Facebook. You're on this platform. You have a page, and I don't care if you're maxed out at 5,000 friends, it's still a very small population. Okay, so then you get flooded with all this, and it looks like it has the appearance of a majority reflection. Yep. And all it's reflecting is your friends or your own feelings and biases. Yep. And so you're getting this feedback, okay? But it does not mean everybody around the globe feels that way.
Yes, but you went up. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to protect these assholes, but on one level, you actively went there out of your own free will, right? Facebook didn't hold a gun at your head and told you, come here, do that shit. And I mean, I don't want to talk you down or anything, but see, this is the mistake we always do. We fall for the bait, right? They dangle something here, join your friends, right? But your data is all ours, you know? We're going to make money off it. See, this is why I meant learn to spot bait. If they offer you a cell phone app that makes your life easier, ask yourself why.
Yeah, exactly. And free. We're going to give you this app for free.
Exactly. Excellent point, Bossy. Excellent.
Yeah, it is. But like I said, it all comes down to what you're choosing to pay your energy into. And right now,
with the bait conversation.
Sorry, say again, Zero?
We've come full circle on the bait conversation. That's what you began talking about with the coronavirus. It's like...
Yep. And exactly, the bait conversation. I love the way Bossy put it. The bait. They drop bait in the water and see who picks it up. And we've talked about this for fucking years. They drop bait in the water to literally watch how people react. And if you, they measure that shit. They measure those reactions that people give. How many people reposted, Harambe the gorilla? How many people reposted all these things? They measure it. It's the same thing with major news. Now, interesting. Okay, I'm going to change the subject here because I wanted to make sure I touched on this today. Interesting piece of news.
One second.
No. Bossy.
It's still about bait. 1 second. 1 second, please. If you are, again, on Facebook or anything, just Google or just use a search engine, type in bait meme. If there are people that are pushing something, just post the picture. Choose one. Like Google bait meme. Just choose one of these pictures that fits this conversation, post it in there. Maybe you make other people aware, like, what the fuck did that person just post? What is it about? Bait, right? Sorry.
Yep. No, I agree, Bossy. Good idea. So, I want to talk about a little piece in the news. And I've talked about this for years, that they have a way that they play the news out. And there's a testing of the waters that they do, where they will drop a piece of information into the news. And they stand back and they watch the reactions to it. And then they gauge the reactions. What kind of reaction did it get? Was it accepted? Was it not accepted? And then they'll pull back. And then 6 months, a year later, they'll drop the same piece of news in, slightly changed. And they again watch to see how the news is taken by the general public. Interesting piece of news. Went everywhere. Now, the first article I saw was in the British Sun, which is a rag and barely above a tabloid. No, it's a tabloid. Let's call it what it really is. But it's a mainstream newspaper that's read by millions. A mini ice age is coming. We're going into a solar minimum, but we're also going into a grand solar minimum. Now, the articles always, I went through and I read about 5 or 6 of them because it's, since then, that was, I think, Sunday or Monday, it's gone everywhere. It's North American news, India, China, Russia, you name it. The news article is now being carried all over the world. Mini ice age, John, meaning that it's only a very short time, like it's only about 30 years, not like, 3,000 year ice age, i.e. the ice age that wiped out the dinosaurs, etc. What is interesting is, of course, first of all, laughable. They go through the whole thing talking about grand solar minimums coming, etc., which this being pushed into the mainstream, immediately all my little antenna went off going, oh, what are they testing? They're testing. They're testing right now. What are they testing? Now, the funny part is that, for example, in the Sun, I'll read you, they go through the whole thing. The Earth could be facing a frosty weather and biting snowstorms over the next 30 years as an ominous solar minimum grips the planet, a scientist has warned. And they're talking about Zarkova, who's put out, of course, a lot of papers about the grand solar minimum. It goes all the way through the information. It's talking about the Sun is approaching its hibernation period. There'll be less sunspots, etc., thus less energy and radiation will be emitted towards planets and the Earth, blah, blah, blah. Then we get in, and it says, these occur once every 400 years or so. Most of the effects will be harmless. However, Professor Zarkova warns about icy spells, wet summers that could persist until solar activity picks up again in 2053. I love that they give an exact date for that, 2053. Here's the thing. Let me scroll down to the bottom here. Sorry, scrolling. There we go. Fortunately, and this is your last, very bottom of the article. Fortunately, it's not all doom and gloom. Other experts believe that grand solar minimums have little effect on our climate. Instead, the cold snap experienced during the Maunder minimum was likely triggered by several factors, including plumes of ash coughed out by a series of giant volcanic eruptions, which, you fucking doofuses, were caused by the grand solar minimum and the magnetic drop in the field. I digress. We're also expecting global warming to increase average temperatures in the coming decades. It's likely, therefore, that the upcoming grand solar minimum will have, it's unlikely, therefore, that the upcoming grand solar minimum will have any impact on global temperatures because global warming is also happening. So this is a toss-out. This is a toss-out. I want everyone to take note of this. This is a major chunk of testing they've just thrown out to people. They're testing the waters. So they're testing, first of all, the whole, well, we're going to push the, the global warming rhetoric anyway, because, global warming, CO2, man-made, pay a carbon tax. But they're also going to talk about this mini ice age as an explanation as to why it'll be wetter, it'll be colder, there'll be more snow, etc., etc. So you just watch. I want everyone to pay attention to this one. Not pay attention, just in another few months. This is going to cycle back again. And there'll be a little change to it. There'll be a shift in the narrative to it. Because they're testing the waters now to see how the public's taking this information. I think it is very, very interesting. Why is that? Because we're coming into spring now. Well, we're hoping to be coming into spring. Spring is sometime in the nearest-ish future. Massive floods all over the U.S. last year happened in this early time of the year. And that's springtime. Are they planting the seed, so to speak, so they have something to blame if, again, the fields get all flooded out? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they play this one. I guarantee you, though, they're market testing right now. They're market testing a story, and they want to watch how the public reacts to it. That's about it for us for tonight. I've got the movie poll is up in the UU group. I haven't even taken a look to see what movie is in the lead at the moment, but we'll see what comes up for Sunday for our movie. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Tomorrow, and this will not be live streamed. It will not be a Zoom. We're going to be having a private discussion, but the video will be put out. I will be with Anne, Gail, Amina, and another friend of mine, Sue, hopefully. And we're going to be discussing the shit that happened in Glastonbury and the Cheddar Gorge, and we're going to be getting into some serious woo. We're going to be getting into some really interesting woo. Crossing over timelines. What is the story? Lori, we're not going to do it on Zoom because we want to really focus. And unfortunately, as much as I love you guys, you're very distracting. So when we're trying to really get into the conversation and kind of pull a lot of information up, the chat, it's very, very distracting. So we're going to do it as a recording. Don't know where that'll take us. It could be a very, very interesting conversation. So I'll have the recording out as soon as I possibly can, by Friday at the latest anyway. So keep your eyes open for that. That's about it. That is about it. Wait, I had something else I wanted to mention. Damn. Yeah, Ben, give me a call in my morning, your nighttime. Okay, before you go. Right. Gaia's Garden, because we will be closing Gaia's Garden down in preparation for moving to the UK. So our final batch of C60 oils will be starting spinning next week. And they'll be ready by the end of the month, by the end of February. Those will be our final batches until we get everything set up again in the UK and get, everything up and running again. So I'm giving everyone a couple of weeks notice that if you need C60 or you think you're going to need it in the next couple of months, I would strongly suggest placing an order now because it's limited. Like I said, this is it. What I spin up next week will be it until after we get settled again. So I wanted to let you guys know that.
Danny, is that just on your C60 or is
No,
that
everything.
on all the products?
All the products, everything will be, the entire shop will be closed down. I will actually, orders will not be able to be placed because I'll close the shop down for holidays, I guess they call it. So if you need products, if you need oil, like black seed oil, et cetera, get your order in now before we close the shop. And I do have a little promotion on for everyone this month because everyone's been complaining about itchy and dry skin. So everyone who places an order will get a little sample bottle of our SOS serum that I'll be sending out to everyone. And the information is on the website. So if you go to Gaia'sGarden.com, it's all there. Anyways, that's it for me. I love you guys. And I will talk to you next Wednesday. Bye, Twitchland. Bye, guys. Definitely.
And the scam thing, which I wanted to bring up earlier, which
we
I
didn't
think
do it
we should
during the
go
live
over
show.
because I know you can add it to the recording.
Yeah, I can.
There's lots of folks here who admittedly are not well versed at computers and they can easily get screwed by some of these scams. So I'm going to go over one of the email things, just stuff to look for when you get these emails and you kind of go, oh, wait a minute, what is this? So, okay, I got to reset this up. So we'll do it on main screen. And okay, here, this is one I got just the other day, actually today, earlier, PayPal scam. And on the surface, it looks totally normal. Looks completely legit.
That's exactly what I got.
Things to look out for right here. The from. Okay, read that. Now it says notifications at paypal.com, which is a legitimate email address, but it's spoofed. See the second one?
Yep.
That is the actual email address that any replies are going to. So this is not coming from PayPal.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't do this. Sometimes this works. They just have a button like they have on this page. So if we float down to the button, if you notice at the bottom of the screen, right underneath that long list of my email addresses, it says HTTPS confirmnow.pagelink/success/ID and a number.
Yeah.
That's not a PayPal address. Nope. Okay. Don't click these. Just delete them or send them to spoof at PayPal. They're happy to get them. And when you see one of these, don't react. Okay. Yep. Regardless of how close to home it is, how important it looks, do not react.
Yep.
Look it over carefully, look at where it came from, and look at any link they want you to click before you click it. And you can do this with any of the browsers or any of the email programs. Yep. If you float over a link, it'll tell you where it's going to take it.
Right in the bottom corner, if you guys are looking, you see what John's got, just put his cursor on the link, in the very bottom of the page on the left side, and it says, you see a little HTTPS //confirms-now.page. So all you have to do is just put your cursor on it. Do not click it. Just put your cursor on it.
Yep.
And then you will see where it's going to.
Yep. There's another link. There's an email link right at the bottom here. If you have any questions in your account, please contact us. So you float over that. And it's okay. I'm at Mail Yahoo. What this does is actually it collects all your trash and all of your email data and sends it to them if you click that link. That's what that fetch UID trash, but that's what that means. Okay, so any of these things, if you get a legitimate one from PayPal, first of all, they're not going to ask you for any information. They're going to say, please contact us. Right off the bat, they're not going to say, you got to log in now, you got to do this, you got to do that. Those don't come from PayPal. Or any of the banks or any of the finance companies or anything.
Insurance companies, utility companies.
They will never ask you for an account number. They will never ask you for personal ID or personal information on any of these. So if it asks you for personal information, immediately look at where it came from, and check any links that are in the page. If they do not point to the original domain, like paypal.com, okay, this one, it might be confusing because it does point to paypal.com, but the actual domain it's pointing to is EU2758172.com.
Yeah, the notifications at paypal.com at the beginning is basically where the name of the person goes.
That's right. Which
that
you
would
can
normally say
put
Danny
Mickey Mouse in
Arnold
there.
and then have my email address. So instead, they put in notifications at paypal.com so it looks official.
Yep. And another thing they're doing, do I have one in here? I'm not sure if I still have one available. No, but they're sending out emails with the subject starts with a like a reply. Yeah. So you got some people who aren't paying attention or don't understand the scam. They're going to go, what did I talk to these people? And they'll click it. And quite often they have scripts in there that run just when you open it.
Yeah.
Right. So if I get a email from somebody, an email I don't know, I delete it instantly. I do not open it. I delete it.
Yep.
And any of the email programs now, they have the ability, if you right click in your list before you open it, you'll get a context menu and you can delete it. It won't open the email.
Yeah.
So it won't trigger any code or viruses that are running in
that. Yep. And the thing that is going through Messenger as well, people send them on Facebook, they send them on Messenger. And a lot of times people are just sending them because they think they're doing the right thing. It's like, share this, make sure you send this to everyone on your account. If any message you receive says, share this with everyone on your account, it's garbage. If anyone is like, hold your mouse here and right click on this to send to all your friends, it's a trap. It's a trap. Just don't do it.
Yeah, get in the habit. Whenever anybody sends you a link, unless it's like you ask for a link and I send you a link, something like that. But if it's unsolicited, if it just pops up and there's a link,
never click it.
Get in the habit of investigating the link first. Float over it. You'll get a notification of where it's going to send you on any of the browsers, any of the email programs.
Yeah,
it's funny you guys are talking about this because it's like there's in your regular your email, and it's like since I see anything suspicious, I'm on like say you go to click on that link in your to see what it is, and it's like okay, and I just I'm hit that on I think it's on the upper right corner. It's like there's a signal where it's like just delete it automatically. It's like nah, looks too suspicious, and yeah.
The other one is
if you do
Skype
that
messages.
If you do that after you click it, you've already lost.
You've already lost. Yeah. Anything that says, "Is this you? Is this a video of you? Is this a photo of you?" Do not click that link. Do not, no matter how curious you are, if it's a perfect video of you or a photo of you, do not click the link. That was going around heavily about 2 years ago, and it's just started coming back again. I've started seeing them coming back again in Skype, Messenger, emails, all these things. Just do not click those links. If you do, you're fucked.
Yep, and all of the messages I see them. I get probably 30 a day on my Facebook wall. Do this, do that. Are you an introvert? Do this test. Are you this? Are you that? What's your spirit number name bullshit, right?
Yep.
Ignore them. They are data mining.
They're data mining.
That's all they are doing.
What superhero are you? What Star Wars character are you? What potato are you? They're all data mining.
It's bait to get you to give up information that they can't actually ask.
Yeah.